Alright, this is VG8259 again, and today I've got a special review. This is the first entry in Bandai's new Master Grade Figurerise series. And of course, this is Goku. And if you don't know who Goku is, then you should probably watch more anime. Anyway, I guess we'll go ahead and get started. Before I get into the actual model kit, I'll just take a look at the box for a minute. I just thought that it was kind of neat that instead of using 3D computer generated art or drawings, they actually put a picture of the model kit itself on the front of the box. And Bandai doesn't do that very often, but I think it works out pretty well. And the box is about the same size as a standard Master Grade. I think it came in the same size box as the Zaku 2.0 and Gundam 2.0 and all those. You can see the new Master Grade Figurerise logo. And of course it just shows off all the poses and stuff you can do with it. So, let's go ahead and get right into this. For colors, we've obviously got orange and blue and a flesh tone color, and black for the hair. We've got a slightly darker blue for the boots. It's not quite the same as the blue for his shirt. And then we've got these little red parts for the ties around his ankles. And there are actually a few white parts. His eyes are actually white plastic. And there's some more red parts that you'll see later when we get to his accessories. Raise his camera up slightly. Alright, it's not as bright of an orange as I thought it was going to be. This is actually, I think, the same orange that they used for Curios and Arios Gundam from 00. And this is also kind of a muted navy blue color, so I was almost kind of expecting like super bright colors, but they didn't do that. I guess it gives it more of a realistic look, I guess. Anyway, onto articulation. The head has got a ball joint up at the neck, and then another joint down on the torso. So that ball joint can go up and down. Can't really go side to side very much, but it can rotate 360, even though that's kind of creepy on a human being. There's also a kind of a hinge joint down in the torso, which lets the neck go down really far and back really far up. And then we've got two shoulder joints that kind of come out and let Goku's arms come forward a bit, like so. And then they can go back. It's kind of hard to see with his hair in the way. Anyway, they go back and forward like that. And to accommodate for that, and still kind of give the feeling of cloth, they just made these two halves of his shirt just loose like this, so that they can flex whichever way his body moves. And I just thought that was kind of nice. And when you move his shoulders up, the shirt goes up. When you move them down, the shirt moves with them. So that's kind of a nice feature. And also it's kind of the same right here on these little parts on his shoulders. Let's see, he's got a double jointed waist. There's a joint up in the torso and there's a joint down in the waist area. So he can move forward and back and side to side. And he can't rotate 360. He can rotate about that far to each side, because the joint isn't completely in the center, it's off center, so that keeps him from rotating all the way. He's actually got a little ball joint right here for where his belt ties, so that can just pop off, so that can move around and rotate and wiggle a little bit. For his arms, they can go up about that far, and let's see, I already showed you they can go forward and back. They're connected to the torso by ball joints. There's a rotation below the shoulder joint. And this is one of the cooler parts of the kit. his elbow joint, he's got a double jointed elbow, but when you bend his elbow, his bicep actually flexes and bulges out. So I'll just do this slowly so you can see it. When you bend it up like so, the bicep bulges out. I just thought that was kind of a nice attention to detail, and kind of appropriate, seeing as how all of the characters from Dragon Ball are built like bodybuilders. Anyway, although I was slightly disappointed that the arm couldn't bend a full 180. It can only bend about this far, so oh well. Anyway, the wrists have actually what appear to be like tiny little Revoltech joints. Let's see if I can pull this out. There we go. And see, it looks just like a little Revoltech joint, and it's built the same way. Of course, Bandai has us assemble this joint ourselves, but it's actually pretty nice. And the hand just goes in there. The hands actually look really nice as well. The sculpting is very nice on those. And it's got a little joint that can bend back and forth, and of course it can rotate on that little peg. And then the little armbands kind of slide right over it. So you've got a hinge there and rotation. Let's see, next I guess would be onto the hip joints. Now there's a little rotating, I guess not really rotating, a little joint that goes up and down that connects his legs to his hips that lets the leg go up. Whoops, his leg came off. I pulled too hard. Lets his leg go up and down like so. That just gives him a little bit more flexibility. Anyway, his legs can go out about that far and back about that far, but actually they really can go 360. You just have to kind of work that little moving peg down at the hip joint. Then there's rotation below the hip. Can't quite go 360, but it can go pretty far just because of the way this cloth is molded. The knees are double jointed and they bend, and I think this is probably the only disappointment I have with this kit, or the elbow and knee joints, the fact that they don't bend a full 180. These knees only bend slightly more than 90 degrees, and that was a little bit of a disappointment. But I'm sure Bandai, well, I hope Bandai will work out that problem in later releases in their Figurerise line. Let's see, there is rotation at the top of the boot, and then he's actually got a double jointed ankle, where the ankle can go forward and back, and then it can go side to side like so. And also the tip of the foot has a joint where it can move up and down as well. And these bottom parts of the feet, which look like yellow plastic, are actually rubber, similar to the G Gundam Master Grades and some of the newer Perfect Grades. I guess Bandai's deciding they want to implement rubber bottoms on the feet on more of their kits, so they've done that there. Alright, I was hoping I'd be able to do this in one part, but I think I'm going to go ahead and separate this into a two-part review and just come back and do the accessories on the next part.